remember, back in the late 80s and early 90s, some American scientists managed to leak the facts about the ozone layer. There was a big hoo-ha, and the fact was there was a hole in the ozone layer, and Antarctica, the ice in Antarctica was melting at an extremely fast rate, and parts of the southern continents of America and Africa and Australia were feeling the effects of this as well, and skin cancers were just skyrocketing, and that was attributed to CFC gases, and it's breaking down the upper atmosphere. That's something humans were doing, and it was affecting our atmosphere and really causing global warming. Then we had acid rain, and that was in the late 70s to the early 90s. We were having acid rain, and it was killing trees and plants and animals, and that was attributed to coal-fired power stations, gas-fired power stations in cars. And we fitted catalytic converters to cars, and we cleaned up our power stations, and that made that better. Again, humans affecting the environment. Going back to the ozone layer, frogs in Canada in pools there, that they were growing disabled. Well, what they did a test where they had some frog spawn that was left in the open, and then they put glass over other frog spawn. The ones underneath the glass that were protected from the harmful sun rays, their birth defects were just normal. The ones that weren't protected skyrocketed. And now we've got massive bushfires throughout Spain, California and that kind of latitude, and that's attributed to global warming and the effects of man. Now, if we planted the whole of the Brazilian rainforest back again, and planted the whole of the European forest back, and all of the tropical rainforest around Indonesia, around there that we're cutting down, we planted all that back, maybe in about 50 years time we'd begin somewhere. But we've got to find some technology now, because we're just not going to grow that amount of trees. We can't do that amount. There's something we've got to do, and we've got to do it now. And the only options that I can see for the global leaders is to have a mass nuclear war, because there's too many people using too many resources. The choice is to start making moon bases and Mars bases and get millions, and in fact billions of people off our planet onto the moon and onto Mars and onto other places and space stations and what have you. That's the only other thing we can do, and the governments are too scared to do that. Completely lose control if we go to space. Completely lose control. And the control that they want is taxing us over oil and stupid things like that. Right then, this is for those scientific think that we're creating some kind of paranoia theories because of the conspiracy to warm the planet up. Or something similar to that. Anyway, because of our stupid leaders not listening to the scientists about global warming and stuff like that, and insisting to carry on doing it, but we're still knackering our atmosphere, and we tend to forget things that have gone in the past, like acid rain, coal, oil, fossil fuels burnt, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides emitted, oxidization in the cloud, catalyst, hydrogen peroxide, ozone, ammonia, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, acid rain, gases damaging the foliage, upsets photosynthesis, aluminiums poison the trees, sulfuric acid and aluminium kills the fish, soils are acidified with aluminium and sulfate ions. That's pretty much the simple and short version of acid rain. Sequential fuel injection, and then we've gone past sequential fuel injection onto redundant cylinder fuel injection, which is even more fuel efficient. And on top of that, we use catalytic converters to convert some of the gases. It's very easy to take all the horrible stuff out of the burnt gases and then use them for other things. I mean, a coal-fired power station is around about 23% efficient. When you look at a nuclear fusion power station, which is over 100% efficient. Which one would you prefer to have? I think a nuclear fission power station is about 97% efficient, if I remember rightly. About 96-97% efficient a nuclear fission power station is. And we're still building gas-fired power stations in the UK. Aren't we the clever ones? Okay, a number of different CFCs have been made and sold under the trade name Freon. Developed in the 1930s, these halogenated hydrocarbons were widely used as refrigerants and aerosol propellants and in other applications because of their non-toxic and non-flammable, readily evaporate, condense. However, CFCs released into the atmosphere rise into the stratosphere where solar radiation breaks them down. The chlorine released reacts with ozone, depleting the ozone layer. So, back in 1930s, when you got Einstein and all that lot, these clever scientists, they made these CFC hydrocarbons. Right, and these things were supposed to be the next best thing to slice bread. And you know what they did? They took and scalp off the earth and let solar radiation scour the earth and melt the ice caps, causing more global warming. It's no joke, you know. It really is happening. And the ozone layer isn't repaired yet, and it's still warming the polar ice caps and melting them at a greater rate than what they would be melting already. And it's raising the Earth's atmospheric temperature because more radiation is getting into the atmosphere. Do you understand? You are a bunch of complete lunatic dunces. Ozone layer, or ozonosphere, around about 6 to 30 miles, 10 to 50 kilometers high, formed by the effect of solar ultraviolet radiation on oxygen. Ozone strongly absorbs solar UV radiation, causing the atmospheric temperature to climb to around about 0 degrees centigrade, 30 degrees Fahrenheit, at the top of the layer, and preventing much of this radiation from reaching Earth's surface, where it would injure many living things. Chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, and some other air pollutants that diffuse into the ozone layer destroy ozone. In the mid-80s, scientists discovered that an area where the ozone layer is up to 50% thinner than normal, developed periodically in the ozone layer above the Antarctic. This severe region depletion, explained as a natural seasonal depletion, appeared to have been exacerbated by the effects of CFCs, and may have led to an increase in skin cancer caused by UV exposure. Right, ozone, pale blue gas, O3, that is irritating, explosive and toxic. Like ordinary oxygen gas, O2, it contains oxygen atoms, but the bonding of these atoms per molecule gives the distinctive properties. It is formed in electrical discharges and accounts for the distinct odour of the air after thunderstorms or near electrical equipment.